Welcome back to the United Stand. Hit the like button. Make sure you are subscribing. We've got an action-packed evening for you. Lots to talk about on the United front and so much excitement as well. A few little bits of news that may be a little bit controversial that we're going to get your take on with, but we're talking Mainoo, where there is now a big sense that he is going to stay, that he is going to sign his new deal. And I don't know about you, but I am over the moon with that one. Garnacho could be the opposite, could be going and leaving the football club, which I know not everybody is particularly happy with. But then we're looking at two big transfers, Delap to Manchester United, and why I think that's a game changer for us. But Matheus Cunha, the here we go is expected very soon, or could happen very soon, are the words from Fabrizio Romano. And that is where we are going to start tonight. But let me know where you're watching from. Let me know where you're tuning in from around the world. I always like to know, but get the like button smashed right about now, people. Get it done, because I think there's some fantastic news tonight for us to delve into and for us to talk about. And the first one that I want to start off with is Matheus Cunha. This was from Fabrizio Romano earlier on today. He says Man United will have a new round of talks very soon to try and seal the deal for Cunha. A here we go is really, really possible soon. This was also married up with news from Plattenberg, a very reliable source out of Germany, who says Man United are determined to finalize the deal for Cunha for the summer, though details still need to be clarified. Cunha is ready for the move. Champions League football is not a necessity. He wants to be part of Ruben Amorim's rebuild of the club on the pitch. He's enthralled and excited about the idea of joining Man United as we try and undo 12 years of neglect and problems and become a far more potent and powerful team. And I'll tell you why this is important. This deal. Let's park Cunha for a moment. Let's park him to the side. We'll get onto him as a player. I know Mark's spoken about this at large, and it was a big fear that Mr. Goldbridge had. A massive fear that he had. I wasn't as panicked by it, but it was a concern for me. And that was this rumor that circulated for about 2 months that, one, we had no money and we'd have to sell a lot before we bought. Now, if we're about to lay down £62 million for a 26-year-old before we've sold a player, it shows that, one, there's more money than they let on to, which a lot of us thought that there always would be. Two, none of us are happy with the ticket price increases, the redundancies that happened to people. But they said they were doing it so they could invest in the first team. And they've saved tens of millions of pounds in multiple departments. 50, 60, 70 has been saved. This shows to me they are looking to invest it in the team to improve things, which makes a bad situation better, because at least they're following through their promise. They're not making the cuts to put it in their back pocket. They're not looking to feed the Glazers or feed themselves. It's about the team. The other element and the other rumor that was circulating is United are only going to buy kids. Man United are only going to buy inexperienced players. Man United are only going to sign individuals that are on the come up. And I know Mark called this out right here on the United Stand. I was worried about it too, because we need experience. This deal being done early blows those conversations out of the water in the short term. I think it puts more faith back in the United fan base that there is a solid plan that Ineos, Wilcott, Barada have. It lets you know they're serious, in my view, about making Ruben Amorim's squad better in terms of raising the technical floor and improving probably the most important element in the summer, the physicality of our team. More speed, better in the press, and then, of course, more goals. I love that entire element of this deal. Plus, the third area, aside from the player, is when do Man United get deals done early? Tell me. In the comments right now, and by the way, Unknown Devil, I'm going to come back to you later on your comment there. I'm going to come back to your comment in a moment. But put it in the comments now. When was the last time United signed a main new star player, a main player for the first team, a star player, that early in the window? Let's say we do it the first week of the transfer window. Let's say we get it announced and get the here we go before the season ends. Feels very plausible. When was the last time we did that genuinely? Now, Bruno Fernandes was in January, and it was in a transfer window. Mason Mount wasn't that early. When you guys are saying what do you mean what? When did we last do it? When did we last go and get a star player, a main player for the first 11, that in the first week of the window opening, or even before the window opens, we had it signed, sealed, and delivered? I'm looking at the comments here. Anderson, you're talking a long time ago. Yeah, I can't see him. No, that's it. No one's. Yeah, I'm reading the comments here. Van Persie. I think Van Persie was still in the summer, though. Van Persie's actually was only a few weeks before the season begun. I don't know if he took part in pre-season. I can't quite remember. I'd have to go back and look. So those 3 reasons are why I'm so encouraged about this Cunha deal. Now, the player. Oh, the player's another level here. Scores goals, creative, physical specimen, good availability. There's rumors going around that he doesn't have a great attitude, but no one can give you anything tangible. They'll talk about his arguments with the coaches of Ipswich or his flare-ups on the pitch with rival players. None of that bothers me. No one cares that Van Dijk runs around shoulder barging people in the jaw. No one says he's got a bad attitude. You know, I'm all for a player having a little bite in them, a little bit of character, a little bit of elbow, a little bit Cantona-esque in that way. I'm not worried about it in any way, shape, or form. But his technical ability is through the roof. He can drive with the man can pick the ball up in midfield and drive at an opponent's goal, run into space, move us up the football pitch. And we lack that as a team. Ball carriers is the colloquial term for it. He improves us massively. And I'm very, very excited about that indeed. I really, really am. He can also, I think he's going to fit the number 10 role under Ruben Amorim so brilliantly as well. So brilliantly indeed. So for me, I'm very, very impressed with it. I am. Now, Unknown Devil says, Ineos apologizer. First of all, let's not try and make this sound political. It's a little bit weird, or like we're in a B-Tech version of a Star Wars movie. But what I will say is this. I've condemned things they've done wrong. But if you're going to make the cuts they did, and you claim it's about investing that money into the first team, we have to see that investment in some investment for the future, of course, but we need to see players like Cunha purchased. We need to see that money that you're saving reinvested into the first team. Because at least that shows there's a plan of action to try and get us back to the top. If you're doing it and all we're seeing is larger dividends being taken by the Glazers, then I think it becomes even more problematic. That's not apologizing for what they did, but it's showing that maybe they were telling the truth. That puts a little bit more faith in us getting back to where we want to be. Doesn't mean we don't criticize their mistakes. We don't criticize the things they do wrong, but it's about being balanced here. I don't think we should be behaving in a polarized way, personally. Abraham Glazer in the super chats here says, how about stop blaming me? I never ruined anything. Well, we'll agree to disagree on that one, my old pedigree chum. Rohan here says, who's this mug? Lol, joking Terry, hope you're well. I'm very good, my friend, very, very good. Although I nearly ruined I went for about a 7-mile run earlier with my dog. I was wearing a sauna suit. It took me about 3 hours to cool down, but other than that, I'm very, very good. Any chance it was negotiated tactics all along? It was negotiation tactics all along. Watch, Shahin. What, saying that we're poor and got no money? I hope so. We've got to keep doing it as well. Plead poverty, plead poverty, plead poverty. You might get into a bidding war of a club and then you've got to pay the maximum price. But the poorer you say you are, the better the price people are going to do. It works in the normal world. If I'm trying to buy something, I'm going to tell everyone I got no money. I can't afford that. I can't afford it. I really want it, but I can't afford it. And you whittle down that price. It's what you do. It's very normal. Liam here says, won't be surprised if we are linked to Jamie Vardy now he's leaving. That could be very true because we do get linked to a hell of a lot of people. MUFC Realist TV says, Terry, I love the fact the media invented a new stat for Cunha, walking the most. Lol. Love the salts, meaning we're signing a gem. Well, they did that to Paul Pogba. Paul Pogba was the first player I ever saw walking stats used for, and I haven't seen it again since in the last 7 to 8 years. Now United are signing Cunha. There it is. The walking stats are back out. And I want to speak about Beth for a moment. I saw Beth tweeted about what type of player Cunha is, and everything Beth said is spot on. Just some trolls got hold of the tweet. They started to twist it into this. Well, these walking stats are high. What do you mean? He kind of runs endlessly. He runs endlessly when he needs to. So he isn't a headless chicken that's just running around like a madman for 90 minutes, making himself look busy. He uses his energy when he needs to. He presses brilliantly. He's relentless in that. He's brilliant at driving with the ball. But there are large parts of the game where he might be walking around. But go and look at what he's doing. He's putting himself in the right positions for when he has to sprint and move, or when he can win the ball back and counter attack, or transition attack, as people call it now. He is not a lazy player on any single level. And, you know, Beth deleted her tweet, and totally respect why. But there's nothing that Beth said that was wrong. But you've got to remember, like, and if Beth can hear this, and fair play, if Beth is watching, the only reason that people are calling you out is because you were right. And everyone knows that Man United are signing a gem. And if we do get 2, 3, 4, 5 more signings, maybe not all the same age profile, but of that level that can impact us and take us up another notch, I'm really confident Man United are going to be a better team and improve exponentially next season. I really do believe that Amorim has instilled for the first time at Man United in 12 years a way of playing football, the training methods, the standards, people understanding what they've got to do. Our biggest 2 hindrances right now is a lack of physicality to execute it, and our inability to score goals on a regular basis. And I don't think any amount of coaching can fix that. I don't care whether Amorim's a head coach, Fergie's doing the cones, Pep's doing the pep talks, excuse the pun. I don't think any of that matters. The physicality will only be improved. The finishing, creating will only be improved in the transfer window. And Man United fans have got to grow a goddamn backbone here. Because when Pep came in year 1, finished 4th, didn't win any trophies, no one, no professional pundit, nobody on Talk Sport, no one anywhere in the world of football went, well, hang on, he can't buy no one else. He just has to work with what he's got. No, they went out and spent hundreds of millions of pounds more. Jurgen Klopp didn't win the Champions League, didn't win the Premier League, didn't challenge for a quad with the squad that he inherited. And he, by the way, didn't inherit the squad that Rodgers inherited before him. They built it up over the course of time. They spent money, and big money, and correctly so. So for me, this idea that, well, Ruben's just got to get this team to play better. No, he's got this team playing about as good as it can in the Premier League. It's struggling because there's a technical flaw. There is a physical limitation to this side where maybe only Leicester, maybe a couple of other teams are physically worse than we are. We have a lot of superior technicians to multiple other Premier League sides, but they can just run us off the park. They can stop our attacks because they just have more legs, more power, more speed. And if we address that with more Cunhas, and of course, I don't literally mean 5 or 6 number 10s for anyone who's being a little bit pedantic, just more players of that ilk. And we're linked to a lot of players like it. So I'm really encouraged about what we're doing. I've believed in what we're trying to do since the day we started. I knew it was going to take time. And the one thing for me that I've never shied away from is Ruben Amorim told us the God's honest truth day 1. He said it's going to take a good year to implement the style, to regiment it into the training routines, get the fitness levels and standards up. He says we're going to suffer, we're going to get exposed, we're going to have bad days. But give it a year or so, and you will see the fruits of that labor. I thought he was underplaying it. Oh, yeah, it won't be that bad. I knew it would be hard, but I didn't think it'd be that bad. But he's told us the truth. He's told us the truth. The ownership have said it's making these horrible decisions so they can spend money improving the squad. So far, looks like they're going to deliver on it. Now, I'm not taking my foot off their necks. I'm not pretending the world is all sunshine and rainbows right now. There's a lot of work to do. Fans have got to stay on it and put the pressure on. But I believe they're going to make changes that are going to improve this football club next season. And I'm very, very excited about what we could become. I really, really am. I do not trust Ineos and certainly the Glazers. Ben, I understand. Ben Jones, that is PT. I understand you're not trusting them, and I don't think you're out of line for saying it. And you're going to need to see more Cunhas, more improvement in the league. Debts paid off, new stadium redevelopment starting as an example, and maybe then you'll change your mind. Maybe it's going to take until we're winning Premier Leagues. Maybe it's going to take until the debt's paid off. That might take however many years. I don't know what it's going to take for you. I'd love to know. I understand it. It's not about trust for me. I'm skeptical of things, but I'm just a human being that's willing to give the benefit of the doubt until you prove that doubt, if that makes sense. And they've made some mistakes, but they've been honest and open about the mistakes they made and how they're going to rectify them. And I think, this summer is going to be a real indicator as whether or not they mean business. The other deal that we're heavily linked to, and by the way, keep hitting like buttons, people. Make sure you're all subscribing out there, please. It's really important that you do that for the channel and for the platform. The other big signing or name that we're linked to that could also happen very quickly, £30 million it's quoted as costing for Liam Delap. Now, I prefer Victor Gyökeres. I prefer Victor Osimhen. But it does appear that those two deals are not going to happen. Arsenal are going to get Gyökeres, and Osimhen is being sort of priced out of a deal where we're not looking at him. And I'm a little disappointed in that. I'm not going to lie. Subjectively speaking, easy for you to say. Subjectively speaking, I would prefer Osimhen. I love the way he plays football. I think he's deadly in front of goal. I think he's so underrated. He truly, truly is. But I do think there's a real player in Delap. So like I said earlier, I don't expect every player to be 25, 26, 27 years of age. I don't think any club should ever generally buy 5, 6, 7 players in a window, all of that age. I think there has to be a mixture. You've got to buy some players for now, some players that can impact you now, like Delap, but have a longer-term future, and some players that will sign. They may not even be announced to the Man United fraternity, like when we signed Obi and when we signed Kone. They weren't kind of signings that were presented as first teamers, although I actually thought Heaven was signed the same way as them, but he was presented to us on the website and the stadium and everything else like a first team signing. So there'll be a mixture. And with Delap, my only concern is who else do we have up front? It does look like the club is going to stand by Joshua Zirkzee for another season. And I think we all saw that injury come at a really bad time for him, because he just started to really slowly but surely was looking more like a Man United player. And I'd really be interested to see how Zirkzee plays with the likes of Cunhas and Delaps, etc., around him, Ahmad being back, if that side is cooking a little bit more. I would be a little concerned if it was just Delap, though, and Højlund as our two strikers, because they're both still young. I think Højlund looks like he needs to move on. It's very plausible that he leaves, according to a lot of sources as well. United have got quite a bit of interest at the moment from Italian clubs. It may be a sale this summer. I think it's more likely to be a loan with an option to buy, which might be a good thing for Man United, because he might have a very good season in Italy, which means that he might have more options, so we might end up getting more money for him. But I like Delap. I like him as a player. I think he's got great strength. He knows how to use his body correctly. He isn't just a poacher. He can score goals from close range, balls that go across the 6-yard box, but he can score from outside the box. And he has a skill that I just feel that doesn't get discussed enough in football anymore. He can go on the inside and on the outside. And I love that about him, which makes him unpredictable. It makes him hard to take out of the game. And at £30 million, which is the reported asking price, I think it's a snip. There is still then the possibility that we get another attacker of some sort. 90 million on Delap and Cunha, I think is very good value for money. I really do. And the one thing about not getting Delap and though going for an Osimhen is that if Delap continues to progress at the rate that he's shown in the last 12 months, we might be looking at that deal in 2 or 3 years' time saying, why didn't we get Delap? But I like it. And the one thing, again, that you're saying is good technical ability, a good finisher, will score goals. But you're seeing the physical floor of this team being raised. And I think that if you add Delap and you had Cunha to this Man United team from January till now, I believe we're sitting anywhere between 9th and 6th in the league. I don't think it would be a unplausible thought to say that we could have won 5 or 6 more games in that period in the league. If you just think about this and break this down for a moment, genuinely do this. Just do this as an exercise. Let's go through some of our recent games. All right, I'm going to get them up on the screen now in front of me. Right, I want you to go through this. Because non-Man United fans always play it down, go, no chance. You know, the strange Ruben Amorim outers, no chance. You're talking nonsense. But let's break it down and have a constructive but sensible conversation. Let's look at this, right? So I'm just going to do Premier League only. Okay. Let's load these fixtures up. So Wolverhampton Wanderers. Are you telling me that if Delap and Cunha were in that team, more speed, more power, more pace, more clinical edge, you're telling me there's not a really good chance we win that game? I think we do. So I'm going to throw that one in as a win that I think that would have gone the other way with those 2 players in the side. Newcastle, we would have lost. Definitely would have lost that game still. They were too good. The Man City 0-0. We were the better team, had the better chances. I'm putting that in as a win. We're already 5 points better off. That's in the last 3 games. Match before that, Nottingham Forest. Let's throw it in as a draw, to be fair, but we had the better chances. We were the team knocking on the door the most. They had 1 good chance in the whole game and scored. Say that's a draw. 6 points better off. Before that, we beat Leicester. Arsenal 1-1. Look at the chances we had that we didn't score. Højlund's opportunity, the chance to Bruno at the end, the cross to the low, the Xerxes chance, multiple others. I think that draws a win. Now suddenly we're moving on to 8 more points as an example. You go before that. Ipswich game, we won it anyway. Let's say the Everton game, let's stick with it being a draw. We're really poor in the first half, so a draw's fair. The Palace 2-0. Because they scored 2 goals, I'm going to throw a draw into that. Because for me, we had so many chances, but we did concede 2 goals. So say it's a draw, 9 points. Game before that, we beat Fulham. Game before that, Brighton beat us 3-1. Keep that as a loss. Conceded 3 goals. Can't do nothing about that. We beat Southampton. Game before that was Liverpool. Look how good we were against Liverpool. Are you really telling me that with those 2 additional players, we couldn't have turned that draw to a win? Of course we can. It's 2 more points. We're now on 11. I missed out the Spurs game. We lost 1-0. Garnacho missed 3 sitters in that game. We missed so many chances. Again, I'm turning that into a victory. Me personally. Now suddenly we're talking 14 more points. And that's only in 2025. Okay? You suddenly add 14 more points to where we are in the league and look at the difference. And that's why I don't think we're a million miles away from these other sides. Yes, we need to improve the goalkeeper. Yes, we need to add more into the midfield. I just don't think we're a million miles away. I think that is the analysis that comes from people that are not watching our games and they're reacting to our results more than anything else. Rasco here says, you can't say that, Terry. You can say it. You can watch a game where you're missing chance after chance after chance, big chance, big chance, big chance. You can definitely say that with 2 or 3 better attackers that are better technically, better creatively, better finishers, and better physically, there is the genuine possibility that you could have won those matches. So of course you can say it. Do any of you honestly think if we sign 6 players in the summer that make our team better, that it isn't plausible that we are anywhere between 15 to 20 points next season better off than we are now? Come on. Let's be real. Let's be real about this. It's a genuine chance. Genuine. We are not playing badly in 2025 in terms of the structure and shape in most games. It's the lack of quality in positions. Transfers fix that. Let's have a little look here, your comments that are coming through. Terry, I think people are disappointed about Osimhen and didn't realize how good Delap is. That's Rob, always United. I agree. I think Delap is a very, very talented player. Mark has said a few things about players in the past that have had good seasons and then fallen off. And there is that concern. But when it comes to Osimhen, if we're going to be objective here, because I love Osimhen, he's never played in the Prem. We've seen many a player, 25, 26, 27, come to England after doing brilliantly abroad and not delivering as well. So look, I'm really optimistic though about Delap. There's a lot of clubs that want him. There's a lot of hype around him. A lot of people fancy him as a player. I think there's a solid player in there. Noah here says, don't like Osimhen. He can't hold up play. Gyökeres is way better. I see Delap and Højlund the same, to be fair. Both need development. Ras under too much pressure. I think Delap's better than Rasmus Højlund. Although I do agree that Højlund has regressed as a football player over the past 12 to 18 months. And I think as our system has changed, as the need for technical ability has gone up another notch, as we're not just trying to play in the transition, I think it's really hindered him. Technically on the ball, I do think Delap's better than him. I think his hold-up plays better. He uses his strength and uses his body mechanics a lot better to hold off defenders and bring others into play. However, he is still raw and he does still need development. There's no doubt about that. I don't disagree with you at all. I really don't disagree with you at all. Terry, would you buy Frimpong for the right wing-back role? I like Frimpong. If we buy him, though, he can only play right wing-back or right attack. He cannot play right back. He has... I'm not going to say he has poor defensive abilities, but he's not really a defender, in my opinion. He's an attacker. But I do like him. I really like the way he plays football. But, yes. If that's the case, why didn't City keep Delap like they did with other young players like Rico Lewis and O'Reilly and McAtee? It's a great comment there from Rusco. But why didn't they keep Lavia? Why didn't they keep Cole Palmer? To name a couple. And there's another one that eludes me now. Another City player that's been doing very, very well that's from their academy. You got Diego Douglas Costa as an example and a few others. They've had a number of their academy players that have left and gone elsewhere that are very, very good football players. It's about the pathway. When he was leaving, that was when Alvarez and Haaland were there, and there wasn't really a pathway for him. So, we just signed Chido Obi. Doesn't mean he's a bad player because he's left Arsenal to come to us. You've got to look at those scenarios, Ryan Giggs didn't join Man United till he was 16, not because he was a bad player and the other team didn't want him. This year says majority of goals we've conceded this year have been from individual errors. Factor that in too. I agree. And look, I'm not saying that we're better than everybody else and all we need is a few extra players. We have to keep working on the system. We have to be more disciplined. But quite a few goals have come from individual errors, and we need to improve on those players. But they've also come in games where we've missed chance, conceded. So the Palace game was an example. We had so many opportunities. And sometimes the stats won't show a chance. For instance, against Wolves, when Garnacho squares that ball for Rasmus, who doesn't make a contact at the back post, you and I watching football say, big chance missed. The stats show it as Garnacho losing possession and a misplaced pass. It shows 0 XG and doesn't count as a big pass, a big chance. So you have to factor in the opportunities we've had that we haven't converted into official chances under the stats. So many like that this season. It's unbelievable how often that's happened. What's your ideal window now? What players? That's from Shahin. Look, I haven't got a list. I haven't sat down and done a list. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you all. I haven't done a complete and utter list. Players I like, though. For instance, I'd like Sells from Forest in goal as an example. I really like him. I like Costa, the goalkeeper, as well. At the back, I really like the Sporting player, Ignacio. Really like what he's about. He understands the system. I think there's a superstar centre-back there for the future. I like him. Frimpong, I've already mentioned, is a player that I personally like. I'd love to see in one of our fullback roles. A lot of people talk about Edison. I've watched him play. I think he's decent. If I'm picking a midfield player, I'm going to try and get Belieber out of Brighton. I think he's phenomenal. I think he's absolutely phenomenal. And again, technical ability, physicality of our midfield goes up a level with a player such as him. I like Wharton as well from Crystal Palace. And I do think United have got to start buying more players from the Premier League. I think it's a really fundamental part of what we've done, what we need to do. So, yeah, I would look at them. Osimhen as a striker I like, but probably not going to get him. I love the Cunha deal. He was on my list. Brian Mbomo, again, I really like it. And maybe that's what we'll do instead of another number 9. Maybe they'll go, right, we've got Xerxes that can play 9. We'll have Delap that plays 9. But what we are going to do is have Brian Mbomo and Cunha in the kind of 10 roles who do score lots of goals. And maybe that's the plan. It's not, but we don't just need number 9s that score goals. We've got to spread those goals out. So I like those 2 players as well. Semenyo is another player who I think is excellent, who I'd love to see at Manchester United. So there's a few out there that I would have. I'd love to know what yours are, people. Who are your top 5 or 6 signings for this summer? Who would you like to see come in to Manchester United to raise the floor, really, in terms of players? Darren here says, which keeps do you think we will get, and which keeper would you like? I like Costa. I like Costa. I don't know who we're going to get. I'll be honest with you. There's quite a few names have been linked to. I don't know much about them. So it's hard for me to sit here and talk about them. I'll have to do some more research. But it's an area that I've kind of neglected as a United fan. I haven't done much research into it. But I like Costa. I really like Sells at Forest. What a snip he has been. It's comfortability on the ball, excellent shot stopper. And I know that Roy Keane hates that. Oh, that's your job. But there's being a good shot stopper, and then there is being an astounding shot stopper. He makes so many brilliant saves that keep Forest in games. It's unbelievable. And we need someone back like that. Terry, you saw how arrogant Igal was on the show. You shouldn't defend that lot. They haven't won Jack, yet have that much chest. United have won trophies. The Saleh here is talking about my show. If you're not subscribed to the Football Terrace yet, make sure you go and get it done and check out some of our content. I have a weekly show with Goldbridge as well over there. That's the Football Terrace. Go check it out at the end of the show and go and subscribe. But we did the top 6 show tonight. And look, this is the thing. I won't speak about another football club if I don't believe it, just because a fan or a member of their fan base is arrogant. I won't do that. I can't do that. Because that logic dictates a Liverpool fan will lie about Man United because they don't like me. I don't treat football fans or clubs in that kind of monolithic hive mind way. I'll treat Igal as Igal. That's an Arsenal fan, not Igal's that way because he's an Arsenal fan. Does that make sense? So yeah, I get where you're coming from. I didn't agree with everything that he said, but the best way to operate is to present arguments to individuals instead of, well, I'm just going to do tit for tat and slag your club off. That doesn't actually defend your football club. That doesn't actually create an argument or a debate. So I think you should have more dialogue with them rather than trying to shut them down personally. The more you know here, it says we need CDMs that can handle being in open spaces. Yeah, I agree. Good technical ability, good physicality, massively needed in that area. There's no doubt about that. Whatsoever. A very important part for the team. That's why, though, the news from Ornstein that came out this afternoon here, and I'm going to read it to you, that says there's a growing sense Kobbie Mainoo will stay at Manchester United this summer. And I know we need to improve the midfield, but I can't tell you how happy I am about that news. And on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you all? How happy are you all about that? I love it. Genuinely love it. I think it is a huge, and I think it is a very substantial piece of business for the club. One of the big rumors, we're going to sell all our youngsters. We're going to sell our academy players. I saw a Sky Sports presenter say United might even break the record of academy players being in every matchday squad. The club's falling apart. I've always felt Mainoo would get a new deal. I always thought Mainoo is going to become a front and center part of this team. But front and center doesn't mean he has to play every game. Front and center doesn't mean we need to rely on him for 55, 60 games a season. Paul Scholes, Ryan Giggs, David Beckham. These men, especially in their formative years, their early years, were often used quite sparingly. Start this game, start the next. Then they're on the bench. Then they're rotated. It's important not to drive this young man's body into the ground so young. The injuries that Mainoo has had this season, I think, are a legacy of the ridiculous level of work he had to do last season as an 18, 19-year-old for Erik ten Hag. So I like that he's being used a little bit more sparingly. I love that he's getting a new deal. I think there is a potential world-class generational talent in there. But what he needs, that a lot of our youngsters in the last 12 years have not had, we need stability. We need the club to play a certain brand of football where even if you change coaches, there is still continuity. We need great recruitment to help build a brilliant team around him. We need to progress. We need the standards to be high, the dressing room behaviors to be good. I think we've lost a lot of very talented young players in the last 12 years due to the club not operating correctly. So I am psyched. I am over the moon with this news that he's staying, because watching Kobbie Mainoo for the next 10 years, I think we're going to be very, very privileged, a very, very privileged fan base to watch it. There is a phenomenal talent in there, and I love it to bits. So I'd love to get your take. I'd love to get your future. Rob Always United actually says Kobbie is the future. He's a massive part of the future, and I'm glad that he is staying. Ben actually come back with super chat here and said, until the Glazers go, I won't, then I'll trust. I hear you on that, Ben. Goldie says, hi, Terry. Thoughts on Richard Keys and Andy Gray saying Southgate would have done a better job than Amorim? Honestly, why do these people get airtime? Look, Southgate maybe would have done a better job in the short term. But that's what the media wants. It's short term. Everything's short term with the media. Rivals all watch everything short term. I want to manage a bounce. Oh, I want to manage a bounce. The manager bounce is the most important thing. We've had manager bounce for the last 2 or 3 managers, and look how that turned out. Why are we wanting the same patterns as before? Southgate would have come in, would have adapted to the team, played in a way to get the best out of this Frankenstein average squad for a year or so. We've bought a few players. And then one day he'd go, right, we're going to try and instill something now. We're going to try and develop a style of play that can actually win the league. And he would have gone through what all the other managers did. Players not being good enough, certain players rejecting it, upheaval in the changing room, all the leaks about the coaching staff are amateurs, the managers this, the managers that. And then his results would have gone backwards. We'd have all said he was a fraud after a good start of the football club and the manager bounce. Then we'd be calling for him to go. Why would we do that again? Why would we do it again? It would be absolutely crazy. We are doing, in my personal and humble opinion, the right thing, instilling a style first that didn't exist. It's more painful in the short term, but I think the rewards in the longer term will be better. So I hope that answers your question. Buy players who move the ball quick and take risks. I agree. We need to take more risks in the right areas, and we need to move that ball quicker. Marcy here says, Terry, it sounds like we're building a Wilcox team, not an Amorim team. Delap, McAtee, Dibbling have ties to Wilcox. Very interesting. Well, we should be building a team that match the profiles of players that Amorim's system needs to work, but we should be picking players and building a footballing philosophy that is club-centric, that lives beyond Amorim. So I agree. If that's how you've seen it, I hope you're right, because that is the way the great clubs operate. The more you know, says, already done that super chat from him. This here also says regarding Kobbie Mainoo. Let's go back to some of these comments here. Let's have a look at a little bit of these comments here that have come through. Mainoo is our new midfield signing. Yeah, I don't think they're going to do that. I don't think they're going to give Mainoo a new deal and then try and present it as a new signing. I just don't think that's the way that Manchester United are going to operate this summer. I think we are going to sign a midfield player as well, personally. Let's have a little look here. Terry Cunha is a perfect left 10. No adjustment needed. He's the exact same system and role with Wolves. Absolutely. Wolves, by the way, a club that buys players for playing a particular system and way. They can operate with 4 at the back or a 3-4-3. They buy players that are comfortable in both those areas. So, yes, that works very, very well indeed. Comment here says, yeah, Kobbie Mainoo signing. I'm over the moon. It's a 10 out of 10 for me. I completely agree with you on that. I really do. Emily here says, I like Lemans or Jean Garcia for goalkeepers. The price of Belieber or Wharton may be too high. I'd take a little bit out of the box thinking this summer. Yeah, I agree. Do you know what, Emily? I agree. They're probably far too expensive. The two goalies you've mentioned, I'm going to go and do some research and watch them. So thank you very much for the suggestion. I really, really appreciate that. You are right. Some of the players on my list are probably going to be far too expensive. I'm also not a scout. So I honestly don't spend my days searching the internet, searching the world for players we could sign. So if we want Belieber, but Belieber's 80 million and we can't afford it, there is an alternative in the world. There is an alternative. We just got to find them. What we've got to get away from doing is wanting a Frankie de Jong and then ending up with a Casemiro. That's not a dig at Cass, but we've got to build correctly and we've got to build right. I think that's so important for us. I really, really do. Let's take a look at some more of your comments that are coming through. Someone says, sign Sancho. Stop it now. Stop it. He said the same thing. Waiting for it. Okay, cool. You guys are talking to each other here. Let's have a little butchers. Until we see the shirt being held up, I won't believe it. Sorry, been burnt before. Oh, I love the transfers. I love the thrill of the chase of them. They're amazing. So yeah, I won't personally be doing that. There is some potential sad news, though, that's also come from David Ornstein today, and that is that it's highly possible that Alejandro Garnacho leaves Man United this summer. What's your initial gut reaction to that? Initial gut reaction to Garnacho potentially going in the summer? I'm waiting for your comments. I'm just pausing right now. I'm waiting for your comments. Linda here says, I'm not fussed, to be honest. And then Alan straight away says, can't sell. Super Arch says, happy. Ewan says, gutted. Shahin says, devastated. M. Shah says, good. Chloe says, no loss, really. It's interesting that the dichotomy there. And there is dichotomy, there's a distinction. United fans are not universal on this decision. Kobbie, I'd say 85, 90% wanting to stay. And Tony here, one of the members here on the United stand, says mixed feelings. And I think that's true. I think people do have mixed feelings about this. Rightly or wrongly, I think people are genuinely feeling a big mixture about this deal. And I like Garnacho, but he has really struggled in this system. And there's a tweet that I want to go to here. And I think it's so important to remember this. So important to remember this. Mark shared this yesterday and I commented on it. And the thread on my timeline has been crazy. But this was posted by a Sporting fan in November when Amorim joined. And he said, and I quote, 1, don't expect a miracle. This is absolutely the most important thing of all, hence why I opened with it. When Amorim took charge of Sporting, he also started midway through the season, although much later on. And at the end of the season, Sporting finished 4th, worse than the usual 3rd place at the time. Amorim needs months to implement his style of play, which we'll touch upon later. And just like Sporting at the time, Man United's team are not very compatible with it. And I've got this gut feeling that Garnacho is one of those players that is potentially not compatible with this system. Doesn't mean he's a bad player, but compatibility is important. He says, expect big players to leave. Amorim will most likely sell players that might have huge assets to the team, been huge assets to the team previously, but simply do not match his style and maybe even detract from it. More on that in a bit. If you look at the team Amorim inherited when he took charge of Sporting and the team which started his next season, you'll see what I mean. And what I think is really important about that element, he goes on to say tactics and formation, expect 4-3-3 every time, all the time. Amorim barely deviates from this, instead changing the players in the starting 11 depending on the characteristics he wants the team to display. So that's more where his adaptations come in. It's, well, today I'm going to use Ugarte instead of using Mainoo. Today I'm going to use Bruno in this position rather than using Cunha as a point. He speaks about locker room management and how Amorim has always made it a stipulation that the players he managed are positive influences on the dressing room dynamics, getting rid of players that might be huge assets but otherwise damaging he moves them on, etc. And he gives examples. And I think what's really key to remember is sporting fans were posting this before we kicked a ball. And it almost feels like a carbon copy. Some will say, well, we're not coming fourth. But they normally came third every year. And they went backwards a little bit. We were 14th when the manager came in, and we're 14th now, right? So in terms of improvements, there's not been much in either in terms of league position. But it was so honest and truthful, and we're following that same pattern. And then when I think about the Garnachos of this world, and this is what Man United fans have got to remember, forget Amorim. And this is what people will do. When teams struggle like United for 12 years, we become far more a player FC club than a football club. People will attach themselves to individuals more than the football club. We've seen Liverpool do it in the past. Arsenal are just getting over that period now, but Arsenal did it, etc. City fans, the old City fans, the original City fans would have done it as well. You love players more than your club because your club lets you down so often, but players individually deliver. And we're going through that. So if you're a Garnacho stan, if you're a Rashford stan, there's a high probability right now that you don't like the manager because they're moving those players on. Oh, I love that player. He isn't playing them. I hate it. A lot of people that I know love Maguire. There's not very many of them. Most of them are loving this manager because Maguire's suddenly getting another chance. I think this is where Man United fans have got to learn to love the club more than any player and give it time. It's not the Garnacho or Mainoo looks like he's going to stay, but there are going to be casualties that you don't expect. And there are always players that you think will go that end up being integral to a new manager. Liverpool fans all thought Jordan Henderson was never going to make it under Jurgen Klopp. He went on to be one of his most important players who Jurgen Klopp loves dearly. And if it wasn't for age and his legs going, he would never would have stopped playing the guy. These things happen in football. So I like Garnacho personally. I'm just not married to the idea that he has to stay at the football club. He certainly can move on. He certainly can go elsewhere. It's as simple and it's as straightforward as that. If, for instance, we can get money in, and the money for Garnacho means we can go and get Mbomo, and we can go and get Cunha, and we can go and get Delap, or we can go and get an attacker that I'm all up for it. As long as we improve as a football team, it's great. And you'll get these questions all the time because the media think we're stupid. And that's what we have to remember, that we're not stupid as Man United fans. Oh, should you have kept Rashford? No, Rashford wouldn't be doing what he's doing at Villa for multiple reasons. If Garnacho doesn't improve and look like he can play in the system, he might go to another team next year where they're more of a counter-attack side and he's killing it out on the left. Oh, United should have kept him. No, he doesn't fit how we're going to start playing football. And it's only in the short term. Like I saw a United fan say today, Gary Neville said it. Gary Neville said that it's going to benefit both Man United and Rashford to leave. And you always get the short-termism. Well, I can't see how it's benefiting us with 14th. You've got to give these things time. The problem is with a lot of football fans is we want all the answers. We want all the success. We want all the fruits of the labor the day we plant the seeds. If you go to Homebase or B&Q or a garden center right now and buy tomato seeds and plant them, come Sunday afternoon, you're not using them in a salad. It's going to take weeks and months of nurture and growth to yield the fruits, and they are a fruit, tomatoes, that you've planted. Football fans just seem to really negate this, but it's not helped because the media plummets so much crap into us. It's unbelievable. They really, really do. Let's have a little look here. Darren here says, how many defenders will we need in the summer, and which defenders would you like? Like I've already said, let's say the wing backs are defenders. I like Frimpong. I like Inacio. I think we could do with probably buying another centre-back and a full-back. I think that Maguire's going to get another year. I've loved the lit this season. Maz has been excellent. Yoro, I think, is going to go up another level next season. Heaven looks brilliant. Lissandro's going to come back. You add you add a centre-back into that. We're going to see Lindelof. We're going to see Evans go. Add another centre-back to that. I'd be relatively happy. Because if we buy more a full-back, Maz is going to be used more as a centre-back rather than those full-back roles, and he'll fit in there. We can't complete that's what I would probably look to do. William here says, Amorim is 40 years of age. If the club treats him right, gets the players he needs, he's football and succeeds, he could do 10 to 15 years. He could do it. You know, he's the right. I mean, literally, he could do more than that if he's happy here, and we keep investing and we keep his team getting better and better. There's no doubt about that. He certainly could. Vlahovic wants out of Juve. Would you take him? The more I've watched Vlahovic, and thank you, by the way, for that comment there, Lee, the more I'm put off by him. There's something about him that's a little clunky, that's a little bit meh, that puts me, I can't quite put my finger on it. There's something, you know, when you go out for an evening and you keep thinking, have I left the oven on? Have I left the iron on? Did I shut the back door? I get that feeling with Vlahovic. Something ain't right. Shaheen here. Thank you for the super chat, Shaheen. He says, it's not about one player versus United. It's about the likes of Mount staying and Garnacho not. But this is what you've got to remember. I'm not calling you out here, but I think you've got to view this differently. If we could sell Mount for 60 or 70 or 80 million now, the club would. But that's unlikely. People don't like hearing the word pure profit and book value, but it's important that you do. Because also, even if you got 50 million for Mount, we might still be losing money on him. And if we lose money on him in that financial year, it hinders how much you can spend. Next season, maybe we only owe 25, 30 million on him. So selling for 50 means we made a profit, which means we can spend that 20 million pound profit on a 60, 70 million pound player because we can amortize it. So there is business strategy that sits into this. There's also who is interested in the player. We get asked a lot of questions. Like, we could find a buyer, as we could find a buyer for Onana. They're fit, they're available, they play games. Finding someone to buy Mason Mount has zero to do with his footballing ability. It's his availability and the £250,000 a week that the stupid regime before this one put in place. So for me, this isn't about whether or not Mount's considered better than Garnacho. It's not about Mount being better than Garnacho. What, I don't know who took the overlay off me there, but thanks. But what it's about for me is, can we find a buyer for Garnacho? Yes. If we get 60 million for him, it counts on the trading accounts as a pure profit, which means you could potentially spend that. You could treble the amount of spending off that one sale, which means you improve the team. It doesn't mean the club thinks Garnacho is worse than Mount, but the scenarios are different. He's leaving because of funds, and that's the problem. I don't think it's just funds, though, my bro. So I don't think, the second part of your super chat, I don't think it's just funds. I don't think he fits how the manager wants to play. If Garnacho, from January until now, scoring, improving, looking strong, looking dangerous, I don't think we'd be selling him or looking to sell him. I don't think we would. I absolutely don't. Bruno Fernandes would fetch us so much money in the transfer window. Even now, at 30 odd years of age, we'd still get 50, 60, 70 million for him. We're not trying to sell him. We're trying to get Kobbie Mainoo a new contract. I think the biggest reason for Garnacho going is the manager, Wilcock, the club, think he's good, but I don't think they see him as a ceiling raiser. And if there's clubs willing to give you very good money for him, you're better off selling now rather than 2 years down the line when he's a bit part player with a year left on his contract and you get no money for him. How often have we done that in the last 12 years? Oh, let's give it another year. Let's give it another year. Let's give it another year. Bloody hell. But he's worth nothing now. Can't get anything for him. You got to get that balance right. I hear your issue, but I don't think selling Garnacho is purely about just raising money. If Garnacho was killing it, if Garnacho was looking like he's going to be a star, I think we'd be keeping him. Ben here says, knowing this club, we will probably end up with Vardy on a free. I understand that fear. I really, really do. Roscoe here says, Ghana can't play in the system. It's clear to see he drifts wide in the CM position and he can't play right left wing back because his defense is non-existent. Sports news here says Frimpong, Cunha, Mbomo, Anacio, Edison Delap, and Joan Garcia would be my 7. So listen, that is 7 excellent signings. Technical ability, speed, power, pace, good goalkeeper, goals. Yeah, those 7 come in. Man United a different level next year. Different level. If Napoli want Ghana, then surely a deal for Osimhen. Potentially. It just depends whether the club actually fancies Osimhen. I like him. Doesn't mean the club do. Do you know what I mean? It's one of them ones there, my old mate. Emily here says it would be a departure from the past. Sorry, it would be a departure from the past to start acting strategically with recruitment. The reasoning behind selling players like Garnacho is just as important in this case. Yeah, I agree. And my gut feeling is it's not going to be as bad as people think. It's not going to be as bad as people think. As long as, like the previous comment I read out, as long as you're seeing Mbomo quality, Semenyo quality, Cunha quality, and or above, you know, I was watching the other day, I was watching PSG and watching Dewey. No one can tell me, I don't think Garnacho can perform at that level. I don't think he can. I think he's very good. I think there's a Premier League player in there. But this system, this team, I feel like we need more. And to the previous super chat from Shahin, if we could raise the money through selling Shaw and selling Mount and players like that, then I'd probably be more than willing for Garnacho to be part of the squad. But we can't raise the money through selling them because of the fact that the Woodwards and the Myrtles and the like sign these players, put them on stupid money, and we've kept them too long. The irony is those players should have gone a lot sooner than they did when they still had Mount shouldn't have come. But like Shaw, really and truly, we should have cashed on them a while back. And there have been times where we could have got decent money for him. And we could have reinvested that into someone that's got hopefully more ability, but is fit more often. And you've got to get that balance right. And we struggle with that as a football club. And we have done for so long. Smoggy here says, I asked AI for the 10 most likely number 9 signings for Man United. Osimhen, Gyökeres, Cunha, Šeško, Delap, Isak, Mateta, Boniface, Calvert-Lewin, and I don't know who the last one is. So AI settles it then. Look, I think, but AI is just going to search the internet for the players we're linked to, isn't it? It's not going to search the internet and look at research and look at scouting reports and study how Man United play and who best suits it, are they? Or is it? I don't think AI is going to do that. AI just reads basically, AI just very quickly reads the internet and gives you an answer, basically. Realistic. This is from Matt Hall. He says, realistic. Cunha, Delap. I know I can't pronounce that name. Is it Mash? No, I can't pronounce it. My dyslexia is saying no, bruv. But I know what you mean. Edison, Hugo, Larson, Yildiz, Ignacio, and Trafford. Again, some very, very good players on there. Hugo Larson. Again, that's just not ringing a bell for me. Top of my head. Hugo Larson. Do you know who's free this year? A Swedish player, is he? Okay, who's he playing for? Is it Frankfurt? Okay, now I've seen a picture of him. I do recognize him. Again, this is 20 years of age. See, this is, you know what people say, we don't want inexperienced players. 20 years of age, but played 141 league games. That's quite significant. 8 internationals as well. Midfielder, 6'2". I don't know what his speed is like. Scores a few goals as well. A few goals, not a load of goals, but scores a few goals. Decent. I'll have a little look at him. I don't know too much about him at all. Fred Army here says Dewey is the next level. And Man United were linked with Dewey last year. And he was the player that our fans would turn their nose up at. And this is the point I'm making. I don't mind losing a Garnacho if what we're bringing in raises us a level. I've got no qualm with it. I don't think Garnacho is the ceiling. So therefore, I think we can make improvements. If Garnacho goes and the player comes in is worse, then I'll condemn it. But if we improve as a team, I'm relatively relaxed about that. I'm going to be honest with you. I really, really am. Look, we have come to the end of the show this evening. I want to thank every single person that has tuned in. Get like buttons hit. Make sure you're subscribing. If you want to see more of what I do, I'm on the United Stand a couple of times a week. It's been a bit less the last few weeks because of the bank holiday in football, but I'm on a couple of times a week. I'm also on my channel. Me and Mark have a show on my channel called Hot Take. You can come and check out the Football Terrace. Come and give us a sub. Come and check out some of our shows. They're not just about Man United. They cover other teams as well. I can see quite a few of our members and sort of super chatters from the Football Terrace here as well. So it'd be great to see some of you over there. Until next time, everybody, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we will see you all again very, very soon. Thank you.